coach?
I mean, I think it's still early days, obviously, at his time here in GENG, but you know, a lot of people gave Score so much credit, so many accolades. He got Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Has since vanished, right? And it makes you wonder how much of an impact Score really necessarily had on this roster and how much impact, you know, Coach Kim necessarily has. Maybe it's the players, their skill, their synergy that's stronger than coaching. But with the drafting and the improvements in draft we've seen from GENG over the course of this year, I'm definitely going to give Kim some credit.
Yeah, I think so. You know, coming off the victory with IG in 2018, then moved on to Damwon, found a whole bunch of success there with a certain jungler that is now on the team that he's currently coaching towards an MSI title and, you know, to help out with the 4 in a row. Pretty cool stuff. But we do have a fair bit of Shadow Isles taken away by GENG so far. Also, the Vi being removed from Raptor. The Nidalee ban, very understandable.
It's Keen. They're going to give him Skarner.
Oh, God.
And we haven't seen it utilized as a flex yet here in the LCK. But Rumble, which is also a lot more, very commonly banned, not more than Skarner. Skarner is only 100%. Is a good matchup into Skarner. So this is basically Keen's way of saying, no, I'm not just going to play a tank and engage sometimes. I'm going to be the carry top laner. I'm going to play Rumble. I'm going to get a lead on this Skarner. We're going to play through me. And I'm going to do a ton of AP damage in team fights. A big confidence move, I feel, here for GENG and Keen. And I don't think there's any doubters about how this matchup is going to be played out for Keen.
Yep. That is going to be a very swift Sejuani and Corki lock-in. So if you wanted really cool picks for Canyon, like I did, you're just going to have to wait maybe until game number 2.
Yeah, Senna's banned, so it's not going to be a fun Sejuani bottom lane or anything like that for Lehends.
Yeah.
So Corki gets picked up here, now still technically a flex, and this makes the rest of the draft a little bit tricky to pilot here for BNK FearX. I do think that Corki has looked very weak in the bottom lane thus far, and the mid lane has been a lot stronger for skirmishing power, and BNK here going to agree and continue to focus the bottom lane here. As, you know, the Taliyah is very face up. So now, you know, you go into this as GENG, you could potentially flex the Corki and run something like Chovy's Azir. And they really have all the power at this stage of the draft.
Yeah, they certainly do. I think that the Taliyah being a little bit flexible in itself is going to be an opportunity, but we've seen that FearX do like to put that in the mid lane more often than not, which is why it's understandable that you'd assume that it immediately would be there.
His most successful pick, obviously, in that Nongshim series, especially in that third game. So I do think this is likely to be the mid pick. But you're right, they could actually then flip the table on GENG a little bit if that Corki does get flexed. Nautilus, kind of a must ban at this stage. The Ashe is taken away, so incredibly powerful with Sejuani because of the chain CC that you can lead into with Equalizer. Blitzcrank now also removed here, so taking away a lot of Execute's opportunities to heavily engage. The Leona really being the one that stands out as the final pick here. He could potentially follow up on this Skarner with.
One of those. Let's see what FearX do decide they want to go with. Xin Zhao going to be the lock-in here, so that is confirmation that you're exactly right, Wolf. That Taliyah heading towards the mid lane. Raptor going to be taking the bro special. I do feel like Xin Zhao is such like a bro jungler, and so Raptor going to be taking a little bit of that old flavor into BNK FearX here today is Zeri Lulu. Yep. That's a GENG flavor right there for the bottom side of the map.
And maybe some Execute flavor as well.
Ooh,
hovering
this is fun.
Then Nico, and then now moving over to Hui to try to maybe push this lane out. Varus so strong in the early parts of this matchup. Not swapping it just yet here, but he will go over the Nico. Now we've seen Execute play a lot of Nico support. It looks like he's going to change it up, though, and go back to Rel. Aw, less fun.
It is less fun, but it is very Execute.
Yes.
You know, he's certainly made a name for himself on this champion. Some notoriety, perhaps, is the way to describe it. Having some of the greatest plays in the LCK and also some of the most weird.
Yes, and that is definitely, I think, a very fair way to put it. And I look at the draft here for GENG, and I think in a game that snowballs and you win early skirmishes, you're going to feel really good about the mid-game power of that lethality Corki into this draft here for FearX, as long as you can avoid the Skarner engages where they should be able to get a decent amount of topside prio with this Rumble. It might be tough for Clear to make a big impact in those skirmishes before Corki starts to become quite strong in the mid-game. And Execute, I think, has a big role to play here with the Taliyah. We talked so much yesterday about setting up seismic shoves and how Taliyah is so strong in pick-based compositions. They have the Varus, they have Chains of Corruption, they have a decent amount of poke here. But I think that the scary part is GENG getting ahead early in any way and then just snowballing the rest of the game, with the Zeri being that late game win condition. We've seen FaZe play this champion to great effect so many times, countless times, especially in grand finals. He picked up the mantle right where Ruler left off.
No, absolutely. I think that this is a very honest draft by GENG. It's a lot of things that we know that they're very good at winning on. But B&K FearX have the broken stuff. They have the stuff that has just been winning, the things that have been drawing the bans, the Talia throwing rocks around, Skana saying, I can throw rocks around even better than you can, and having a great time doing it. We'll just see whether it can get them across the line. Let's jump into the game. All right, and already it is the Lawnmower Skana, my personal favorite of the skins. The original Skana version of the Lawnmower looked a lot more like a lawnmower, but this one, still, I think that they've retained a lot of what made it a glorious skin.
It's got its identity still.
Certainly does. Audaciously charging in is Raptor, able to get a little bit of damage onto Canyon here, who I don't think is going to be too worried about the whole situation. And as we sort of get into these lanes and what they're going to look like, we did already establish that Rumble should be able to grab some push towards that top side.
Right.
Bottom lane, are we worried about FaZe and Lehen's, the lack of range into this one?
I think potentially, obviously, you know, Halo Blades is still very strong. And, you know, at level 1, Henna, if he can get off a nice aggressive trade, then they can start to really control that lane, continue to poke it and get some prio there. And then Raptor will have a little bit of agency. As you can see, both junglers will be pathing bottom side here, as the Rumble lane is going to be kind of pretty self-explanatory at this point. And one thing that, you know, FaZe and Lehen's did right away is obviously go up. They have that ward to make sure they know Raptor is pathing bottom side, and they were able to get straight to the wave here and not going to be caught off guard by anything from Execute. So a lot of information going over to FaZe and Lehen's. They should be fine here at level 1. So much experience, even now for FaZe, who we've talked about as for a long time as like, okay, he's a new player, he's a rookie. Now he's a multi-time champion, right? So yeah. He's got a ton of experience in this lane as well.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're too worried about FaZe. Definitely not worried about Lehen's. And in fact, we were. When we headed over to MSI, we were thinking that maybe this bottom lane wasn't going to be able to get it done. As clear as tank and turret shots and winning trades at the same time, that's a little bit silly as we bring up FaZe's win rate while he decides to go aggressive on to Execute. Has to get the heal out in order to keep himself alive, as now Henna's in trouble. There's the re-engage as FaZe has to flash, actually. Shattering Strike coming on through there, but it is just for the disengage. A lot of biffo already. Double summoners from GENG, though, in the trade for just one on the side of Fox, despite the fact that they need a few extra band-aids.
Yeah, B&K, I think, not happy with the health trade on this one, but they will be happy with the double summoner, as you mentioned. Execute knowing he wasn't in kill pressure there, so doesn't drop the Ignite. Probably would have defensively there if FaZe and Lehen's decided to push the issue. Now here, Execute and Henna getting pushed in, and that was a nice attempt there at getting a huge lead, but the reaction was very quick there on FaZe, and that was a very tricky play as well from Execute to go back in there, but FaZe's reaction was flawless.
Yeah, really nice glitter lance there from Lehen's, as well as FaZe was potentially in a little bit of trouble, of course. Flashless does mean that things can be a little bit dangerous, but with this Sejuani waiting in the wings, could be an opportunity. Execute really wanting to push this advantage. Does still have flash as he does get slowed down. And now Henna could be in a bit of trouble as well. FaZe moving on forward, doesn't find the burst fire just there as Canyon's just making sure that there's no jungler. But now Lehen's having to flash away after he gets lit on fire. And Raptor turning up. This is going to be a difficult one because Lehen's is so incredibly low. But Henna and Execute not wanting to go too far forward. Canyon's basically at full health and FaZe is still very scary. Ooh, looking for that little bit of a back. Get that health bar back sorted out so that he can come back in and get aggressive. Speaking of aggressive, audaciously charging in once again is Raptor. Interrupted as Canyon misses the flash, but he's still able to get first blood. They go 2 for 1 now, but Raptor, can he get it done? The flash forward, the wind becomes lightning, doesn't connect onto Lehen's. He's trying to kite it out as Chovy will get in here. Raptor's able to lock it down, but double buffs for the Corki will be the prize in the end. 3 for 3. What? I mean, what the heck just happened?
Well, I mean, all I could think the whole time, Atlas, was it's my first cast of the season. I'm about to certify a Zeri moment, but they were able to get Lehen's, or rather a FaZe in the end. But man, that was a risky call here on the side of FearX. Now, Canyon knows that he has Aftershock and so can buy a ton of time here in this engage. Look at how much damage he absorbs here as Paze gets in there and starts chipping away at Execute. Paze also knowing Henna is super low on health, so he thinks that he should be able to go ahead and win this fight, but Raptor following up early Xinjiao levels quite strong. This is why Chovy has to rotate down here to clean up the play. At least Raptor was able to take 2, but I think where the kills went here for GENG, you definitely favor the trade for them because you end up getting a kill on a Corki, he gets double buff, kill on a Zeri early on. And yes, Canyon was the one who got the 3rd kill here, but the way the gold is utilized for GENG, definitely a huge advantage.
Yeah, and the fact that Chovy gets down there and doesn't actually lose out in the farm game as well, as we do come back from that replay, is kind of absurd. Goes back home and then gets to teleport back in again. So not going to get punished for that rotation. That does mean that GENG will claim themselves a decent lead. Compiling that on top of the fact that they were the ones that got first blood. But still, BNK FearX showing that they are definitely here to play. We'll see whether they can find a little bit more, because an accelerated Xin Zhao is a very dangerous prospect in this early stage. I'm really glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, it's going to be something that they have to respect 100%, and Xin Zhao is so relevant in this meta. He can cut these team fights in half as well. I mean, there's so many different ways to warp the fights here as FearX, and even though Zeri can be deceptively strong, actually, in some of these early skirmishes, even before items are online, you have to be careful of all that CC. Now, Keen has started to take that lead we were talking about in the top side as Execute.
Yeah.
Doing Execute things.
It is once again the classic 3v3 on the bottom side of the map. Canyon going to get denied an entry and just says no. The bouncer's not willing to stop Bristle and Sejuani from getting on in there. And Chovy making his way back to this turret that he does have some free time with. That should be a plate going on over, as Closer didn't have teleport to get himself back to lane.
I cannot even overstate how much Chovy is crushing this lane off screen. If you see this, yes, he was able to get Merc Treads off of that first back where he teleported back to lane. So Closer just can't hurt him. Has a tier, you know, a piece of the Death Note, the Dark Seal. Like, he has no real offensive stats to hurt Chovy, and Chovy is just pushing him in. He has to Weaver's wall back to lane, so he has no impact he can make on the map right now as Talia. And this is a rough time for FearX now. It's only 1,000 gold to lead, but the map control that GENG are able to obtain bottom side here is massive. They are able to get this top side, take away those grubs, but look at Chovy. He doesn't care about rocks.
God, okay. That's a little bit silly. As now Extended Beam flying in. Pace throws down the ulti as well as Henna. In trouble, doesn't have his ult up just yet, but Pace still not going to be diving that turret right now. Still going to send him home, going to grab some plate gold, and GENG pretty unrelenting with the amount of pressure they have. Hitting level 6 and then just going for it. As Canyon thought that he might be backing there. Henna, not this time.
Why not?
Yeah, you know, you may as well.
I mean, if he's there, you get a kill. If he's not, there's nothing to fight for. Both objectives were traded. You're getting plates anyways. Can't even fault Canyon for that one.
And maybe Canyon thought that he was like really good friends with Jonas Strong, so if he wasn't there, he wouldn't be watching anyway, but we know that that is the way, is execute the walk up and light on fire tactic. You love to see it.
Nice back delay there. Still not going to really alter the lane state and the disaster that is bottom side all too much. As we haven't really taken a huge look at this, but I mentioned earlier, Keen should be able to get a lot of control. Neither top lane are actually utilizing teleport here, but just walking back to lane, and Keen putting the pressure on, grabbed Swifties. Huni might be a little bit upset at the...
we are going to be able to get a little bit of a look in to what he thinks about the Rumble. Maybe there's been a little bit of adaptation, some change. But Keen has never really got a 5 out of 5 when it comes to the Rumble. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but he was a bit obsessed with the Swifties, which is just not going to get too much in Huni's book. And as you can see here, that's why Huni was drafted to the military. It's so that he can teach people not to do things like this.
Well, you know, Huni always says, like, don't go Swifties, just don't get hit by the Aatrox, don't get hit by the XYZ, right? But, I mean, Skarner, he's pretty quick, you know? Come on, Huni, like, we can accept the Swifties this time.
Can we, though?
I don't know about the triple tonic, but the Swifties, like, I'll take it.
I mean, I am just a huge fan of Swifties just in general, because I just think that they're fun boots. But I also am a big fan of Huni. And so if he says that we're not supposed to build Swifties, then I agree that we should not be building the Swifties. And Keen so far, with a level advantage and a whole bunch of extra farm, is looking real good.
I mean, look at this
looking real good. Chovy walks out of the seismic shove, and Closer is just forced out of lane.
He's not even building lethality. It's not like he's chunking with a Dirk. He has a Phage right now. Oh no.
Oh dear, Execute in so much trouble. Just knocked up forever. Can't even crash down out of it, and now Paze is looking for even more. Doesn't have another dash over a wall, and therefore it will be Henna surviving, but he's not going to be able to take this wave. And once again, as it's crashing, GENG are pushing them out.
I mean, it's insane, the small things we're seeing here across the lanes, but a lot of this gold lead is just CS diff. Top side 20 CS, mid 15, 20 in bottom lane as well. The plate gold going over here in bottom side, that additional kill, but you give Chovy Merc Treads, and he says, Closer, yeah, PUG last series, not in the game. Yeah. Not relevant. He has to ult back to lane so he can't impact these bottom side plays, and Execute here trying to clear some vision. Just cannot be there. Canyon is around, and that means that's the end of the Rel, second death of the game.
Yeah, where was the counterplay opportunity there as well? Often, you know, we do say that Execute makes some weird plays. That was just, he went toward the wrong brush and was just 100 to 0. Just not really much of an opportunity there. And now 0 and 2, this Rel is not going to be able to start too many fights that he's going to be walking away from as this game continues. 2,000 gold, the lead at 10.5 minutes, and you can see damage dealt. Paze and Chovy right on top. I mean, as Chovy has just been wailing on Closer in this mid lane, I guess.
Clear is swapping. He doesn't want to deal with this anymore. They swap the lanes here. Obviously, the bottom side is a disaster too, but I don't know how great this is actually going to go for the side of FearX. Obviously, the objective is spawning here, these next set of Void Grubs, so need to try to be able to contest this here. GENG, you know, will be able to equalize. If you can have 6, maybe you could do something later on to some turrets to get some of that gold back. Great for bounties as well, which, you know, with the way this game is going, might be on the way. But I gotta say, GENG have all the cards right now. They can make, you know, so many different decisions here around this objective fight. Now, the Weaver's Wall is so critical here for FearX keeping GENG out.
Yeah, this is a little bit scary. Grubs have been started up. Canyon moves on in first as the rest of Fox very ready to rotate over. But look at that, this one extendo beam, and Henna is so incredibly low. The equalizer comes down, and there's the Glacial Prison on top. But the Magnus Storm is fantastic, but it's equalized by an extraordinary Wild Growth, and now Keen is looking to light clear on fire. He's slowed down by the Harpoons. Good flash gets him out of the way, but Chovy's grabbing kills on the Xin Zhao, and I don't think Keen wants to let him go from this one, although he may have to, as his Harpoon just didn't quite have the ergs on it. Chovy going to stop Closer's back here, but I don't know whether they're going to be able to traverse with Henna being at full health. Still, this game is...
It's off the rails, yeah.
GENG's hands, right?
Something, snowball rolling downhill.
Yeah.
There's the Weaver's Wall. Now, I was going to mention, you might notice the Weaver's Wall was not used in that last fight, and I think the call here was Executes is what you have to imagine, is Closer was in position to wall them out, and I think Execute said, no, I have an angle. I have a Magnet Storm angle here. Let's not Weaver's Wall them out. Let's actually take this fight, because they're in a choke, and look at Execute's positioning. Closer decides not to Weaver's Wall here, but this is the problem. Perfectly placed ult here from Canyon with the big ult coming through from Keen, and the Equalizer does so much damage, and the Wild Growth is perfect. You had the engage, but then it's just turned in an instant. And if they had just used the Weaver's Wall to delay there or try to get space, maybe they would have walked away with something, but instead they walk away with absolutely nothing. GENG, 4,000 gold lead here. Execute, he tried, but Wild Growth, so fantastic there.
It's just not fair, is it? Because he found a pretty good angle for that Magnet Storm, and the rest of his teammates were just a little bit too clumped up on top of him. So the 4-man knock-up Wild Growth is just kind of dumb. Really nicely played, Lehens. I've always been a huge fan of this guy's Lulu. He is sort of known for his more eclectic picks, the more weird ones, but his Lulu with his very aggressive play, like he doesn't think of Wild Growth as give his teammate.
No.
His Wild Growth is give his teammate the ability to be the guy that knocks everyone up. Like that's what he thinks about when he's playing the Lulu.
He takes Lulu and looks at the, you know, what people say about it. Oh, hold up.
Yep, Glacial Prison, that is Henna. I don't think he's getting out of the way of this one, although Extended Beam was blocked by a minion. That is a little bit rude. And now Closer is in trouble. Keen looking for him. Seismic Shove just going to zone him away. Of course, if he was going to keep on walking forward to try and get that aggression, it was not going to work out. So Closer has to use the flash, but is at least going to hold on to his life.
Yeah, not a lot of vision for Keen on the bottom side of the map, so decides to just ult to be safe. Look at how smart Canyon is here to come over here, because he knows Keen was pushed up. He dropped his ultimate, and the reason I think Keen ults there is just he's like, I need to leave. Like, I don't know where they are. They have the full bottom side river controlled, full of wards. We don't have any vision in there, so I'm just going to ult the wave, and Canyon come over here and block for me.
Well, Canyon is not able to grab the red buff. I don't believe. Oh, no, he was. Never mind. He did have the smite. I was checking the smite cooldown, and as he was using it, he put it on cooldown. So I was like, oh, wow, Raptor got it. But he did not. And Canyon now looking to take some control here of this bottom side. Could be another kerfuffle as Execute going in for the engage. He's burning down low, but that is another wild growth to keep Canyon alive. Arctic Assault to get himself out of there now, though, is Raptor looking for the re-engage, but Canyon's out of there.
And look at
Don't have the damage.
Mid lane is open. You know, if you're going to come to make this type of play, you have vision control. Henna has to come a lot faster than this because it's not a winning numbers game for Fearx unless he's there. He's so late. Here comes the Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, they're looking for more 4 versus 3 underneath this turret as now they do manage to get their prize, which was Canyon, but can they get out unscathed is the question. Raptor will end up going down as now the redemption. A little bit late to save his teammates and not able to save Lehens either, although he does get Henna. Now Pays able to rocket his way over. Is this going to be 2 kills for the Zeri? That might be the certification that you are looking for, as Closer does have double buffs. He does have a seismic shove as well, but I don't know how he's going to be able to get himself out of this one. David Blaine Closer. Can we get that skin for Talia, maybe? Yeah, could be an opportunity as no. The turret. The only thing that he didn't take into account.
Yeah, not much he could have done there, but I think he put up a good fight. His first death of the game, despite being bullied by Chovy all game long, and then later Keen. As you don't have the numbers advantage here. Now, Pays instantly pings on my way mid the second that this fight breaks out because he knows Henna's coming. GENG are not surprised by the Varus showing up. They're already gone by the time he attempts the Chains of Corruption here. And then it's basically just Fearx hoping they can push a wave in. And GENG never for a moment were really scared anything was going to go down here. Now, this Weaver's Wall does give Closer a nice angle, but GENG play this so well. And Lehens just turns the turret into his own personal machine gun here, is able to trade back a kill himself. As he says, this is not an Enchantress support, it's an engage support, but Closer does get cleaned up with everybody else.
Yeah, very unfortunate that Henna was the one that actually picked up Tara Dagger there. The rest of them were sort of barreling in, but he was just one shot away from dead, so that just meant that he was definitely going to die. Still getting a bit of extra money, a good thing. But when all of the money is basically on GENG at the moment, probably isn't the right call.
And I think if Fearx were a little bit faster on the call there, because they had so much bottom side vision control, that could have been perfect for them to get them back into the game, but Henna was just so late to it, and then they gave mid turret as well for it. And the Pays still gets all the kills. Like, he wasn't there for the fight, but he still gets the reward. Yeah. And that's the disaster, unfortunately, for Fearx. As meanwhile, top side is broken open.
Yeah, Canyon able to charge Shelly into this inner turret. Bottom side of the map, we did see that Clear was at least able to get something back, but then you pan towards the top lane, and it's a bunch of extra money because, of course, these inners are worth so much more. And they also have this bottom lane outer turret that is very, very ready to go down. As we've got a teleport coming in. Speaking of the bottom lane turret, that's what's in Chovy's mind right now as he looks to clear out the minion wave. Rapid Fire Cannon actually going to be completed second. Going to be going for the third item, Infinity Edge, for that little bit of added crit before you get the crit damage.
Yeah.
Love to see the ratios, right?
It's great. I mean, honestly, I got to say, too, Atlas, you know, oftentimes we're seeing just lethality Corki, but this doesn't make sense into a Skarner comp, but the Skarner just itemizing against the Rumble, too. I mean, Corki is just going to be doing so much damage against Skarner later on, especially considering how far behind he is. Again, deathless, but smart build here for GENG. I think the only way... Oh, Raptor's in trouble.
He is in a little bit of trouble. Going to be flashing away immediately.
They got the speed ups here.
And Pays able to dash over that wall. Extendo Beam going to slow him down. Does have the Crescent Guard, as now we've got another Fighting Tail onto Chovy. Let's see whether he can actually get a kill back. He almost does. Raptor's going to die in the meantime, but they do get their prize, which was the first kill onto Chovy of the summer season.
You know, it's something. It's something. They capitalize pretty well on the fact that, you know, they have the Impale, and Chovy's pushed super far up, while also topside most of GENG is chasing down the Xin Zhao. As Canyon alone here, Pays heading over. This is actually a scary call from Fearx. I mean, this is a big Zeri. Teleport available.
Lehens moving on over as well. You can see that teleport comes in from Keen. And Fearx, they don't want anything to do with it. There's the equalizer, and Closer might have to take the red carpet out of there, but he's not going to risk it. He'll flash away immediately. Pays no extender beam to find any joy onto Clear, who is just waiting to see whether anyone overextends. They don't do so, and it's going to be the first Infernal Drake going over to GENG. Let's have a look at the replay.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. Just a speed up from the Scuttle Crab, and then Zeri has that chase down over the wall. Raptor tries to come back and offer some damage. Nothing much to say there. No, the bottom side play is, okay, we'll talk about this real quick, is Chovy's trying to harass Clear here and actually gets into Flash and Pale range. Great call to Flash to guarantee that from Clear, and that's going to be a shutdown that does go over to Hannah. Now over here,
Paze is going to find Raptor. Raptor finds Paze, but then decides that he doesn't really want to find Paze. Does get the wild growth out of Lehens. Certainly good news. Being in melee range with a Xin Zhao, always a bad idea.
Perhaps a more interesting part of the game than those last two replays was the fact that Canyon in front of 3 people just starts dragging almost robotically, knowing that there is just no way that FearX can contest. And that's GENG, you know?
Chains of Corruption goes wide. Chovy not under any threat, as the wall blocked the rest of BNK FearX from being able to get on over. And thinking about going for some sort of play, it just didn't quite work.
And what FearX are doing is all that they can do at this point is just fishing for picks. And that's what this composition could do from behind. You've got a Skarner, you've got a Talia, you've got a strong team fighting comp in an even game state, but that's not where we are. So FearX just kind of have to run around and hope that Chovy overextends again, hope that somebody is out of position and you can chain those CCs together and blow them up. That's your only way back into this game. And if GENG play respectfully, it's hard to find those, but you got to try. That's what they did.
I think Paze also just went back and built a full shield bow.
Yeah, he did.
Was that like that was?
I think it was a full straight up buy.
There we go. Sometimes you just get to do that in these games. So yeah, Paze is already terrifying and now even more terrifying. Clear just doing his very best to hoover up these minions, and Keen wants to deny that. Teleport is going to be utilized, of course. Keen, no way of stopping that. Does at least break the Rookern shield. There's something, but still, Clear having to burn the Summoner spell in order to get himself out of there, so now not offering any pressure onto the map. And GENG with a whole lot of control, especially around this Baron area. Bounties are up and available as BNK FearX moving towards about a 7,000 gold deficit.
It's rough as they, trying to secure their own global red, unsuccessful, and GENG have their eyes on the Baron here. Clear.
Oh yeah, Canyon gets over. They do manage to get a bit of poke damage, but he's a tanky boy. So this Skarner is not under too much threat. Of course, that Rooker and shield problem where you don't necessarily know whether you're even doing damage. But they were able to do a little bit, just not quite enough.
Riftmaker and the Dark Seal. We'll see what Huni thinks about that here for Keen, but
I don't even want to talk about it, Wolf.
This game hasn't really been about Keen. Like, sometimes Rumble warps games because the equalizer are great, and that equalizer on the top side fight was fantastic, right? But beyond that, it's just been FearX trying to find picks and then coming up a little bit short and then getting turned on, and Zeri is chasing you down, flying over the walls, and it's been quite a dominant performance from GENG, and FearX are just trying to get any quadrant of the map back that they can. As Raptor's caught again.
Yeah, Raptor just going to get chain CC'd. Unfortunately, he pops the blast cone, but Canyon just goes with him immediately, and that is another kill going over to Paze.
I know, it's been a tough game for Raptor here, but he has been caught a lot, but that's in part due to the fact that there's no vision for FearX on their side of the map. They're fighting to clear wards, and that's just going to lead to a Baron. No jungler for the enemy team. It's going to take a hell of a Magnet Storm.
Yeah, there is a Varus. We've seen certain Varuses find the steals here, but Henna, he can't even walk up. There's an equalizer that he has to try and get over as now Skarner diving in, but the Polymorph was too good from Lehens. He flashes, he finds an Impale onto Chovy once again. He's going to get deleted. The Magnet Storm actually amazing from Execute, but they don't have a lot of damage remaining. Still Henna dives forward. They do get the shield onto Pace, but not until that damage does come through, and GENG have to back away.
Yeah, this turret still being up is huge.
Oh, seismic shove, fantastic here as Closer still going forward. Trying to find some opportunities as Paze gets an extendo beam onto him. Oh, there's the shield to come through as well, as these piercing arrows are scary.
They're going to try to
back away. I think that they should.
Yeah, I think they have to back away, though. They're lucky that turret is still up. Obviously, with the controlled lane that they had topside, how much control they've had over this game, that is still going to be up, and they can use it as a bastion of safety. Otherwise, FearX likely just corral them and kill them there and end up getting a lot more gold back. Now, even still, it was a great play here by FearX. Look at the angle for Clear on the flank as well. He comes around and grabs Chovy and pulls him forward. Closer prevents any sort of follow-up here, and then boom, Execute comes in with a Magnet Storm, and this really helps Hannah buy the space to do some additional damage here with Closer. The Magnet Storm doesn't have amazing follow-up in this fight. There's no shove afterwards because it was used already, but it still allowed FearX to do enough damage to then push GENG away with half their damage gone with Corki there. The Equalizer was used just as a zoning tool, so wasn't able to layer damage there either by Keen. FearX had a huge opportunity. They seized it. Now, they're still massively behind, but I didn't think we were going to see a fight like that in this game, Atlas. They're keeping it alive a little bit, hanging by the thread of the thread.
Absolutely, and look, I don't think you should feel bad about anything if you're BNK FearX after that fight. I want to say, like, you were one of the first people to really lean into the fact that Henna has improved so much. His positioning in that fight was
so
absolutely gorgeous. Execute, we've spoken about him many times. He either wins a team fight or he colossally loses. There's not a lot of in between for this guy, but that was a winning Magnet Storm. Absolutely amazing stuff. Not to mention Clear finding the angles, gets the ram onto Chovy, and then the Flash Impale was enough because it was a great polymorph, but he doesn't have multiple polymorphs, does Lens? And Skarner just has too many things in his toolkit. And I remember when it was just Crystal Slash, you know, which was a small circle that did no damage.
Nobody even ever talks about the pylons on the ground.
Right? Where's my crystalline exoskeleton for a tiny shield and a move a bit fast, please? Yeah. Like, that was what he used to have. Now it's like every ability turns him into a different version of a freight train. It's not really fair.
Yeah, he is quite good. And the flank position there from Clear was good. Opportunity was seized upon. There's no package for Corki anymore after the rework, so, you know, Chovy has Valkyrie to get out of those types of situations, but it's a lot more limited in terms of really critical team fights. In the past, you could just fly away and basically have a second equalizer in a team fight like that, but somewhat more limited. No flash for Chovy. So they're able to seize on it, but the gold lead is still 8,000, right? And I think the state of the game has been so GENG one-sided that the one good team fight for FearX, the one good punish, is all we could talk about because it was quite unlikely.
It was a great moment, though.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm still feeling it here. And GENG, you can see that they're a little bit timid as far as going towards another Baron fight. Just because FearX certainly demonstrating that they know exactly what to do if they get GENG where they want them. GENG just trying to avoid that opportunity at all costs, especially when it's an honest 5v5. Remember that last fight was with Raptor dead. Yeah. So now he's going to try and deny Canyon his ability to get rid of these wards. Doesn't quite work out as Lahen's going to grab that Whimsy shield to keep his Sejuani healthy. Warmog's in the bank though. Whole bunch of extra health as he's breaking blast cones, having a good time.
It is a tricky game for FaZe to play out. You know, obviously when you're ahead, it's a little bit less tricky, right? But if we're in an even game state, all the different things that can catch this Zeri, all the different things that can catch a Corki, Raptor again.
Yeah, this is Chovy testing his new toy. You can see there's that golden sword.
Yeah, it's pretty big and shiny.
Yeah, I think FaZe and Chovy were at home and they got a present and it was the same one. It's really cool. They both got that cool golden sword thing.
It's a quite critical item.
It is. It is.
You could say.
And Chovy finding some rockets here. They are not doing quite as much as they used to, but still, FearX a little bit worried. There is a Glacial Prison. Raptor could be in trouble yet again. There is some follow-up. The Equalizer just too strong. Thankfully, he's in Zhao. So he presses Crescent Guard, and then everything is absolutely fine. Does get an ultimate out of Lahen's as well, so it's an R button for an R button. Still, with the positional advantage, GENG going to go for the Baron.
He doesn't care because he's got Warmog, so he's just healing right back up. Already have half health. Teleport's coming through here. One more Hail Mary from FearX.
Yep, that's going to be the Weave as well. That does stop the Baron. There's now Keen with no Equalizer. This could be a difficult team fight, but Canyon's still going to try and start this one up. Clear taking about half of his health bar. Redemption to keep GENG healthy. Extendo Beam doesn't find the markers. Raptor looks for an angle. He's got all of his health back as well. The FearX just get them off the Baron and then play it slow. See whether they can find another couple of cooldowns because there is still, you know, the Crescent Guard's down, the Weaver's Wall's now down.
I mean, the crazy thing is FearX's comp is so good at landing a big wombo. If you end up seeing a big Impale into Seismic Shove and Magnet Storm can set it all up. I mean, this is still losable for GENG if FearX have one of those crazy fights, and they have the tools to do it. So GENG, I think, making the wise choice to play respectfully here, back off, still have vision control around the Baron Pit, still have a little bit of deep vision that FearX is now working on clearing. As the next dragon spawns, it's Infernal Soul, and this game has been so one-sided that we haven't even talked about this aspect. Yeah. But GENG could just say, look, you can't get Baron either. We'll back away. I'm not going to give you that wombo combo opportunity because that's the one way we can lose this game. Play respectfully, let that dragon spawn. And now that FearX have backed away and they have vision of it, they're saying, well, we'll trade one Infernal. It's not going to be Infernal Soul for you. for the Baron as Fearex with a late decision to come over and contest.
I mean, this is going down so fast, they might be able to just walk over to the Dragon as well. It's down to 2,000 health. Yeah, Raptor nowhere near it, so the Baron, not long for the world at all. That is going to be the engage on to execute. He's able to crash down out of it, but the Chains of Corruption do not find the mark. And now Clear just trying to stand in front of his team to keep them alive. My God, these Harpoons are doing so much work as now Canyon. Yeah, he's relatively low. It is going to be a decent Impale to come through yet again. And they do manage to get rid of the Corki, but look at this, it's a Quadra kill already. Clear's got a huge health bar, but I think it's another Penta in game number 1 of the summer season for FaZe. He picks up a Penta, and they'll just march towards the Nexus.
Oh, FaZe, another Penta! 11 kills for the man that set the record for most kills in an international at MSI. You give this guy a Zeri, and he is gonna run away with the game. And the redemption dropped in the fight. Everything put on the Chovy. And yes, he ultimately dies, but it's a Chovy for Nexus trade, and GENG take the first win. A bit of a puzzling call from Fearex. I thought the Dragon was closer to spawning because they were heading towards it, but it still had like 25 seconds left. And ultimately, you know, going for the Dragon Pit and then deciding to come for the late contest just gave them such a positional disadvantage that it just wasn't really playable from there. And they tried their best to get Chovy. They got him, but they lost the game.
Yep, the Chovy for Nexus trade. I think Fearex could probably make up for it just by typing worth in chat. That could certainly be the way. But an incredible game from GENG from start to finish, basically. You know, that skirmish on the bottom side of the map, I think that there were some definite positives, but Chovy having the control of the mid lane, able to get that first roam, really got them off onto the right foot. And Closer, even though he did find some good moments later on, they were already just too far behind at that stage.
I mean, you love to see a player who's down on chess pieces make a fantastic move, right? And I think that we did see some of that from Fearex. They were confident. Closer had a tough laning phase, but was very good at setting up a lot of those team fights. And I think this is a good look from Fearex in a loss. Laning phase, we're going to have to work on that a little bit. Some of those aggressive trades and positions from Execute. Raptor, not his best performance here, but Fearex at least brought it back a little bit.
Yep, and you can take away the package, but Chovy is still pretty good at the Corki, as it turns out. And so certainly some things to look at here. But it is a best of 3, so Fearex get another opportunity. We're going to go to a short break, then the space is going to break it down. We'll get the Huni ranking, and then we'll get into game 2.
일단 먹어. 먹고 3장 이거 바로 딜가 간다. 바로 딜가. 일단 먹을 거야. 일단 먹었어. 먹고 천천히 가도 돼.
야 레브도 올게 레브도 올게 레브도 천천히 때려. 레한테 빨리지 마 레한테 빨리지 마. 레 더블 받고.
야 나 이거 볼 수 있고.
바로 쓰려고 바로 쓰려고.
바로 내. 야 버프 줘. 버프 줬어. 이거 레 슬로우. 레 빨리는 거 조심. 레부터 봐 얘들아 레부터. 가자. 아 지훈이 죽는 거 봐라. 정지. 아 진짜 스카너 너무 정지 형한테 당해 그냥. 아 개웃기게 죽었어. 아니 풀사대도 끌려갔네. 아 나 진짜 스카너 너무 싫다 저거. 아 정지훈 개맛있게 죽었네. 와 나 스카너 진짜. 아 지훈아 나 최선을 다했다. 구원도 주고 힐도 주고 배려도 줬다. 아니 나는 죽어가는데 옆에서 펜타를 치고 있는데? 아야 더블킬보다 펜타임 이미. 아 개웃기네 정지훈.
Like mostly wrong. It's fantastic. All right, let's dive into the draft here, get into game number 2.
Italy is just, they're not allowed to, Canyon's not going to be allowed to play it for a while.
No. And it's interesting because B&K actually won both of their games on red side against Nongshim. And in fact, in that series, it was only red side picking up victories. They have elected to head back towards blue, so they still think that that is the more powerful side. Just an interesting tidbit there. Yeah. Side selection did not necessarily work out in the blue side's favor.
It's really curious to see the Skarner and the Rumble bands coming through here for the side of B&K FearX. So taking away 2 big tools from Keen, but a lot is open bottom side here. And Tristana will be the first pick here for closer. Now, it's been a pick he's leaned on quite a bit. He hasn't found that much success with it, but he has looked very comfortable with playing it. But now you have the Senna available. Now, what is... And Nautilus was also up, so this is kind of a sin on blue side to give red Senna Nautilus. Like, you have to first pick Nautilus if you're going to leave this open. I think now the answer is we're going to push this in with Ziggs. At least that's what the concept is here for B&K FearX, but...
I mean, it is definitely a bit of a Henna vibe. I'm kind of into it.
That's true.
But we'll see whether it's going to be enough. Of course, scales extraordinarily well. Maybe we can also get a bit of a ranking system because we've got both Orcs and Valdez on the space, and both of them are absolute Ziggs enthusiasts.
There you go. Perfect.
Very glad that they're not here on the cast, actually, because it would just be, instead of B&K versus GENG, it would be Ziggs and Ziggs and Ziggs, and that's what we'd be commentating. So thankfully, we are spared from that, but the whole space is allowed to be Ziggs. I'm giving them the opportunity.
Good luck. All right, so X gets back on the Rel here, which doesn't fill me with joy considering this composition, but obviously he's going to have a lot of opportunities to warp this game. But I look at this draft for GENG already, and I go, okay, well, you have Senna Nautilus, which is the strongest bottom lane that we've seen this year in the LCK. You've got Chovy on Corki. Got caught a few times, but had a fantastic performance overall with the lead that they had last game. And they have consistent damage output and a little bit of sustained healing with this Senna. And Ziggs is not going to be able to compete with that in late game teamfights. Now, maybe perhaps he could burst somebody down with his Leandries. He might in a longer fight if he could hit all of those abilities, like his Qs repeatedly landing, maybe. That gives you some longevity in the fight. But I feel like specifically Ziggs and how his damage works compared to Senna is a mismatch if you don't get ahead early. See, the Sejuani is taken away here, so a lot of jungle bans that could continue to come through here now. See what this final one is going to be against Raptor.
It's feeling like there's already 2 jungle bans. The Talia feels like it's definitely aimed towards Canyon, given the fact that there is already the Corki there and the center is locked in. So jungle bans are the focus. The Lee Sin going to be the 3rd one to go down.
I mean, Raptor has been pretty known for his Lee Sin in challengers, so not a surprise to see that one the choice here. Also can give you a lot of agency at potentially kicking that squishy Senna into an uncomfortable spot.
Are we getting towards like Lilia bans or something like that? Like, where are we for the jungle choices for Canyon?
The thing is, Canyon he'll play anything. And the ban here on the Jax does kind of make it seem like maybe Clear was leaning towards a Twisted Fate pick.
Another jungle ban. Another jungle ban, there we go.
Could be. But I do wonder what Canyon's plan is going to be, because he has the opportunity to play Brand here if he wants to add some additional damage. He could play Karthus and just try to take over the jungle. They're going to deny the Twisted Fate pick here first away from Clear. And now like, oh, well, now you don't have the Jax. And, okay, I was going to say, it's either gonna be a Sad Cassante or something like a Cannon. And they do end up opting into the Cannon. It's a lot of AP damage here for FearX.
Yeah, and a lot of circles. I do like the circles. You got Magnet Storm, Slicing Maelstrom, you've got Crescent Guard, you've got all of the explosions from Ziggs, Mega Inferno Bomb being the biggest one, and I guess Explosive Charge does a circle of damage. That's Karthus. I was wondering which AP jungler he was going to go towards, but I wanted him to play Zyra. That's how you counter circles, with another circle.
You remember that really great game that he played on Damwon against GENG where he pulled the Karthus out?
Oh, yeah.
And I always remember that specific game when I think about Karthus jungle. I always associate Karthus jungle with Canyon because he's really the only one who played it in the LCK before it was very meta as it is now. And, you know, for me, I was like, well, it wouldn't be GENG winning this series in style if he didn't play the Karthus. Now, they haven't won it yet. We haven't even loaded onto the Rift. But this draft here for GENG looks so incredibly powerful in terms of what it's going to do in lane and in the late game. You've got a fast-farming jungler that could zip through the map at light speed. And Ziggs, will he have the power, the agency to actually get anything done against this Senna lane? If you're a B&K fan, you better hope so, because I think that's the one real sticking point in this draft for FearX in the early game. And then when you get to mid and late, it's just so difficult. And Senna is going to become so powerful with the AP damage profile for BNK as well. You can see some itemization here on that Nautilus towards a little bit more magic resistance. And it's going to be so hard to kill that tanky Nautilus. And he's the main Senna guy. Like, he is the one. And we talked about this all spring season. And yet, on blue side, they left it up. We'll see if GENG can get the punish.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, you had to ban away the Rumble, you had to ban away the Skarner, and Nidalee is not allowed to go to Canyon, so they just weren't, they didn't have the options. Let's dive into the Rift, see whether they can get it done in game number 2.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 2. And GENG already all grouped up here, moving towards the top side of the map. Maybe not exactly huge fans of Pikachu, perhaps, but they're not going to be able to find any, not lurking in this tall grass. Of course, obviously a very low encounter rate in Viridian Forest, so you're not going to always find it, but they do leave some wards down just to see whether it does crop up.
Is Cassante Metapod?
Oh no, they're in the Harden War. It's awful.
Oh boy. Well,
I think more like a Kakuna.
yeah, I guess
No,
so.
he's got more of the yellow clothes vibe.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
I'd agree with that.
that's what I'm going with. So wait, which one was that? Was that red or blue?
I think
didn't they
red
like, because
was-
they both had both, right? But there was higher encounter rates in one than the other.
I think red was Weedle because I
Yeah.
had blue and I only saw Caterpies.
Yeah,
so.
Caterpies all over the place. All right, perfect. I'm really glad that we got to have a little bit of a Pokemon chat as this one started up. I do want to say that I am a fan of one thing in particular about BNK FearX's draft, and that is there's a lot of just go in and do things.
That's true.
You know, like Execute starts it off. Think about the follow-up, right? You've got Raptor diving in. You've got Clear, like Dash Cannon is his way forward. He has his ult at the ready, and then Henna presses R from 6 screens away, and they can make a team fight happen. And GENG, they're going to take a while to get online unless they do some like crazy things in the early game, and you know, Lehens and Pays just demonstrate why this particular bottom lane is just illegal here in the LCK. It's the first time we've seen it because it's the first time it's been available.
And I think you made a really good point about the bans that FearX chose on blue side, and I feel like it's a symptom of how strong GENG is that we are witnessing here. And I think FearX didn't just forget about Senna Not, right? But they had to make a tough call. Would you rather deal with this? Would you rather deal with Canyon's Nidalee? You know, these are some really tough choices. You could have, you know, tried to take Nautilus not Nautilus, sorry, Skarner yourself. You could have taken the Nautilus yourself as well, but they didn't opt into that. And I think a lot of the heavy lifting in this game for FearX is actually going to have to be done by Closer, because when we get to the later parts of the game, he's the only one who should be able to realistically do a ton of damage to Lehens and actually take him out, because obviously he's going to itemize against the AP here a little bit, and it's going to be really only the Tristana that can take him out consistently, or otherwise you could burst everybody down if you're on an even game state as Chovy.
Oh my god. Normally you have a fair bit of lane control as the Tristana. Obviously, Closer struggling a little bit in these initial trades, as the last time was, in fact, versus Peanuts Skarner. Was that the game?
I think
it was the game.
Yeah, I think it was the game.
Oh my goodness.
I
Of
didn't
course, he
really-
did play it at MSI as well, but it was 2 years ago?
Yeah, I didn't really
Oh, man.
remember what Peanut was playing. I only remember the Karthus.
Yeah, right. Me too. And that was just an epic series, right? Like, there have been way too many, to be honest, of like GENG versus Damwon, GENG versus D+ series that have just been absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to our first matchup of that variety here in summer as well. But that was definitely one of the bangers. There's a few of them that I like less, as you guys may remember, but that one, just incredible.
Henna opted not to teleport here, and as a result, they will lose a whole wave. Okay, Henna got plus 14, so not the whole wave, but nearly a whole wave. I see a little bit of his health bar, and this is going to be the first prio that Pays has. Now, not much he could do here at level 3, roaming around, but definitely not feeling great here as FearX to be losing control of this lane this early, and that's another root, and that's another stack, and FaZe is already starting to get online. Clear.
Yeah, Wall of Pain coming on in there, and oh no, the gold card actually eating up the entirety of the Lightning Rush. He's exhausted now. Keen pulls out a card, doesn't even need it. That's first blood going over to Canyon. He'll grab some Dark Harvest stack while he goes through it, and yeah, that is not the start that B&K Furex wanted Canyon to have on his Karthus.
And there's, you know, no opportunity to make a counterplay bottom side for Raptor. He's on Krugs, but they don't have Prio because Hannah didn't teleport back to lane, so the wave is crashing. Pays is free to back off, so there wasn't really anything Raptor could do cross-map in that moment, and I think it just really caught FearX off guard. Execute, not going to be able to find the angle, but man, this is really awful. I mean, I can't really overstate the Karthus that's already so good at free farming the jungle. Getting this gold this early, Lehen's free farming bottom side into a Ziggs, and already Pays is like, cool, I'm making an impact on the map. FearX really going to have to hope for a big early skirmish, I think, to go their way to bring this game back. There's just so much to talk about here. The exhaust is so good into Cannon in general, but they have the slow, obviously, from Canyon putting up the wall, the gold card, and even with the speed up that he has, and even with the flash, that far up, you're not getting out.
Yeah, and the problem was is the speed up was eaten entirely by the stun, right? Like, your Lightning Rush needs to be used so that you can actually use it, but instead, he is just unfortunately left the Wolves. Nothing he could really do there, and getting a stun so that these Skittles can all land effectively as well. I mean, there's a lot of synergy between Twisted Fate and the Karthus here. And in Meta's past, it just wasn't really a combo that we'd ever see, because both of them used to occupy the mid lane. But not anymore. They're top lane and jungle, so it's just crazy how things do change. Canyon, not a whole lot of mana, but he will still be able to take down this dragon, and then has a Ocean to help him get a little bit of that back. It's very, very nice.
Also, he comes over, helps out, is going to get the whole wave as well without having to teleport back. So really nothing lost here. No damage done to the turret. His closer is playing with fire here against that armor shred.
Yeah, Chovy doesn't have a phosphorus bomb left as far as mana capabilities are concerned, but you can see closer feeling a little bit like he can stick around a little longer. Actually try and get a little bit of added pressure if you would like to, but I don't know whether you'd really test Chovy at this moment. Hits level 7, and Closer's like, nah, I'm just not into it.
Yeah, Closer's like, he's got the big one, and those don't cost mana. He got the level up, he has additional mana. I'm not playing that game. If he shreds me again and tosses those rockets in, I might be donezo. So, I mean, it was a fine line. They were both walking there, but I think walking away is the right call for Closer.
Well, Canyon is going to discover that Raptor is trying to take away his Bramble back, which he definitely doesn't like. It gets a little bit upset about the whole situation and decides to go for a reset. Is now, speaking of which, okay, Execute moving on over. Raptor back on it once again, walks through that wall of pain one more time. And Canyon says, well, we'll just have to move away from that one. Nice little hook here from Lehen's, getting a little aggressive onto Hannah, who does put down the Hextech Minefield. Bit of added damage.
It's not what you want to see, though, if you're laning into the Nautilus, you know? If Nautilus takes half your health bar, it's not like you can solo kill the Ziggs, but the Ziggs has no pressure here. The Nautilus is pressuring the Ziggs in the 1v1 solo here because he's not able to maintain the proper range to avoid the hook. And Lehen's, he's just so calculated. He knows he has the angle. He goes for it. If he misses, no harm, no foul. If he hits it, you know, that's a little bit of extra pressure on the Ziggs. It's not going to affect the game state all too much, but I think it's really just a small picture of the larger issues here that are happening on this. It's just 1 kill to 0, but CS leads again on the top lane. It's a smaller one than last game. Mid, pretty big advantage, and obviously Canyon is just going to out-farm the Xin Zhao on the Karthus.
Well, there is the Destiny. Immediately, Keen is going to come down, finds the gold card, on to clear once again. Snare going to come on through, and there is the ulti from Canyon. Going to help take down that kill, grabs himself an assist, and he is just still farming his blue buff.
Yeah. Well, you know, he didn't even need to use it, but he'll take the gold. And, you know, will hurt the whole team at the same time. You know, small advantages elsewhere as well.
Yeah, he may have won the trade in mid lane as well. As you can see, Closer makes his way back
in.
Chovy, very, very happy at this moment in time. Ahead by only a wave at this point. I think that Closer definitely doing a little bit better on the Tristana than he did on the Talia in the last game. But still, it is control definitely going over to GENG here as Canyon protecting his control ward. You love to see it.
And I'm not even sure why Execute thinks he's ever going to win that one.
He's just hoping that Canyon had left to go and do something else.
And once he's there, he's like, well, I guess I just can't stick around anymore. As Closer is eating a ton of damage here from Chovy, who's on plated steel caps.
Yeah, rocket jump flies forward. He does get an electric explosive charge, but that is not going to do too much without any charging up.
The armor shred is just so incredibly oppressive in lane with the Gatling gun, which is why Corki is so meta right now. As FaZe this time has ult, so if they set up that gold card into root combo again, they have that additional damage even without the Karthus ultimate. And man, GENG just not letting off the gas this whole game. Incremental advantages, but they're really starting to stack up.
And the fact that FaZe just sort of sits up towards the top side of the map, Clear just wasn't really able to lane that much. Of course, not punished too much when it comes to farm, things like that. It's just a wave on his side as well as now FaZe in trouble. Slicing Maelstrom going to come in, and that should be the first kill going over to FearX for this game. That's definitely good news. FaZe just caught a little bit in no man's land.
Insane greed trying to poke in there and get some additional stacks going up. That was very aggressive, and Arel will turn on you in an instant in that type of moment, and they have the tools to chain that together. So a bit of a whoopsie there and a big punish for BNK.
Whoa, okay, Chovy diving on forward with the Valkyrie. Execute does eat a bit of that damage with his Aftershock, so that's certainly better news. As Canyon throwing Skittles around. I don't think FaZe dying really does too much as far as the game state is concerned, but definitely good news for FearX. Being on the board, certainly important. They will be able to take a plate, though, here in the mid lane is GENG, as Lehens even sticking around taking 3 turret shots in order to get a demolished proc. You love to see it.
I was going to mention that maybe we'll see a contest of these grubs, but with the push there on the closers, not much they can do. There's a question mark ping from GENG when they see Henna teleport. I think it's pretty obvious that the game plan for Henna is to try to get some Ziggs damage done to this turret. Does obviously a lot of damage with his passive and grabs a plate. Meanwhile, Clear not in the clear.
Oh no, they are really just against the Pikachu this time around. The cannon once again going to be removed. And Keen going to grab yet another plate for himself and for his teammates.
Now, Ziggs is great in these scenarios because he can rush turrets down so quickly, and obviously Lehens, he doesn't have teleport. There's not much he can do to stop this. It will take a long time to punish him, but like, you can't even kill this guy. But anyway, they're at least going to be able to get Ziggs some farm here. He's going to pick up a ton of plate gold. Should be able to get the whole turret. He's got the execute with the satchel.
Yeah.
And he wins the race.
Hey, there we go. So first turret block going over to FearX. That is certainly good news. Still, I mean, the rest of the map kind of on fire, and GENG with a lot of late-game insurance. But for right now, they do at least manage to get that. And now they get to move Henna into these other lanes, utilize that satchel in order to get more of these executions on the structures. That's what you want to be doing with the Ziggs.
It's really strong that he's able to pick up the torch here now as well. He could start to be relevant on objective setup. They're able to get a dragon here. It's going to be Infernal Soul again, which is actually huge for both teams. But the Ziggs is really going to love that later on if he is able to stack some of those up. But this is just GENG making an insanely tight call here. Clear knows he's likely dead, right? He doesn't even end up flashing here. He still has teleport available. And the teleport call on the other side of the map for Henna is absolutely the right one. So they end up getting first turret blood off of this. And yes, it's not the same amount of gold equivalently, but I think it's the only choice that FearX could have made given that scenario. If Henna teleports top there, you know, I mean, he's not going to, maybe they don't get the kill, but then he's in top, but it's super awkward. Then Kennen has to teleport bottom. They get a whole turret's worth of gold. He gets his first item. So FearX, I mean, still hanging on here in this game. The game state's not great, but some of those win cons coming online. Now, let's see if Clear can make a high-impact ultimate happen in a team fight. Because the exhaust is on Keen, he's not necessarily going to be in the thick of things when that ultimate goes down every single time. And we're going to have to see if Clear can actually make something happen proactively here on the map.
Yeah, Execute moving up. Keen could be the one in trouble here, as he did have the information, but there is the dive in. I don't think this Twist of Fate is going anywhere at all. And even the kitchen sink thrown from the Ziggs from downtown. Mega Inferno Bomb, there was no way getting out of that one. And now they can move Henna towards this top side. They've got another minion wave conga lining in. There's a fair bit of damage available, and there are still plates up for the next 20 seconds. So that should be yet another one going down. That is going to get them pretty close to parity, to be perfectly honest, after this does fall, unless Clear is going to go down as well. Some extra plates as the cross map does come in from GENG. But I would say, I mean, this is closing the gap for FearX.
It certainly is, and this is making the Ziggs now finally truly start to get online. And this is what you have to do as FearX. So they made the right choice twice, and I think GENG trying to pressure the cannon bottom side again, obviously just two-man down there, doesn't end up really working out. 5 plates in total here for the Ziggs as he picks up those additional ones top side there, and very much a lot of money
Yeah.
But it's all about how you use it, right? And this is where things are going to get tricky later on. As Keen here, not much he can do when this engage comes through. Double controller means Execute knows there's no information here for Keen that he's coming up. And GENG get punished here. They get the whole turret as well, topside. So this is very good news for the side of B&K. But how good is it? We'll have to see how the team fights go. As this next Dragon, I think, is going to be our first taste of a Cannon Maelstrom.
Yeah, no, this is the thing. I think it's the first 5v5, and B&K FureX, they need to win that. That is what it's all hinging on in my mind. They have the tools, but it's whether the execution is going to work out. Speaking of which, he is making his way into this mid lane, and his rel is going to be so incredibly important. These Magnet Storms going to need to hit because that is what sets it all up. That's what gets that lineup working. Hold them in place so that Clear can get on top, stun them all up. You've then got Mega Inferno Bomb that should be able to land as Lahen's trying to get out of there with his dredge line. Will be able to do so. Execute slowed down as the Wall of Pain comes in. GENG with control of the river for the moment. A little bit of a group up, as we can see. Destiny at the ready, so Keen can get over there. Almost level 11 for the extra range on that one.
And the Blackfire Torch damage will really stack up as these longer skirmishes do occur, so you don't really want to stick around with Ziggs in the vicinity in that type of jungle exchange. If you can get the lockdown onto somebody, you get the kill, it's absolutely worth it. But if you're kind of happy feeding around, trying to find that engage for too long, you're going to lose value, and FureX will end up winning out on that one. The GENG just trying to get as much control of the map as possible before this Dragon spawns, because if FureX do have Prio on the Dragon, they've got a ton of wave clear with the Ziggs to earn it in mid, then all of those circles, all of those combos become so much easier to execute. And it's always funny when Execute is playing, because he always plays engaged champions. We always have to talk about this, but those types of combos are what is going to bring FureX back into this game, and Prio is the first step to that. So GENG just trying to deny as much as possible, and doing stuff like this, just kind of walking around and harassing and keeping them occupied where they're not bottom side, is actually pretty huge.
Oh dear. Clear is putting on a lot of respect, and understandably so. Gets the information as Canyon and Keen go for the jump scare. Not going to be enough to grab them a kill. The rest of FureX now moving on over. Pei's doing more damage than I would have expected here. Level 8, almost 17 minutes, but I guess Execute is a little bit squishy.
Herald plus Tristana damage, I mean, this is not a bad call here for FureX. If they relinquish bottom side control, Clear knows that there's a pretty good chance that Canyon is pushing down into that vicinity. They don't have any vision, but they have vision top side, so going for the Herald drop here and trying to utilize the fact that Ziggs and Tristana can take turrets off the map so insanely quickly is what keeps this gold. It's still 2,000, the deficit, and GENG had a nice lead, but it's keeping it relatively playable, this game here. So FureX making some good macro decisions. The problem is they've relinquished their ability to fight this Dragon as a result of that, and that's why GENG putting Canyon bottom side there, pressuring Clear, is trying to gain that prio we talked about just moments before so that those engages don't come through. And look at Lahen's, he's just keeping Execute at bay here. He's 4 levels up.
That's so silly. And of course, Pei's is the support in this lane, but he is a level ahead of Execute right now. And Henna, at least, is up at the same point as now Closer having to get away. The Phosphorus Bomb is going to connect, though. There's the Buster Shot. Oh, the Requiem. And that is going to be enough. Canyon takes down the Tristana. There was too many things to dodge. The Dawning Shadow flies past. He dodges it, nailed it. And he's like, how do I outplay this giant beam from the sky? Oh, I guess I can't. And so he's just dead.
Not going to happen. No play for that one. As, GENG, they get the Dragon. And yes, some gold did go over, but the Herald doesn't secure the turret top side either. Unfortunately for B&K, gets the charge, but if you don't get the full turret, you don't get the money. And so we're kind of slowly cruising towards a mid-game where if GENG can continue to just control the map, and you see the Karthus just take more and more farm away, it's really tough. I mean, the split push win con of this Twisted Fate as well, the fact that his ultimate can reveal any sort of flanking Execute angle is really frustrating to play against here for FureX. I feel like they played the macro as well as they could, but ultimately, even things like this, like Chovy sees an opportunity, Closer goes in to clear the wave, and he's like, all right, shredding that armor, hits the Phosphorus, Valkyrie forward, and he's gonna get the kill, but it doesn't matter because Canyon presses R. Yeah, that's more money for Karthus.
And his whole team was rotating up. This is the problem, is that FureX made that decision on purpose, right? Because they did have the backup that was ready to come in. The teleport comes out immediately, but he's just dead way too fast. And Canyon isn't even there, and he kills him, right? Like, Chovy gets enough work done. They throw out their globals. They don't need anything else other than that. And even though Closer was trying to bait something, I guess, Just wasn't able to last long enough in that instance. Or at least that's me giving them the benefit of the doubt as best I can.
No, I think you're absolutely right on what the thought process was, but, you know, GENG had backup too.
Yeah.
Cannon press an R. And that's a red smite that even Chronicler can get behind.
Absolutely.
Goes for the ult cooldown reduction as well. You know, he's got
2 items. He's 186 CS.
Yeah, he picked up those assists, grabbed the second kill there. He just has so much money. He's got 6 stacks of Dark Seal as well, and he's not even really team fighting. He's just skirmishing and pressing R sometimes.
Yeah, and it's looking pretty good. So, FearX now spotted on the Destiny. Gate not really going to be utilized too much here as Keen is just going to look for a little bit of a reset. Spotting out where everyone is, making sure that he does have the opportunity to go towards that. 2.5 minutes on the Dragon. The Baron has just spawned about 15 seconds ago. So GENG making sure they have full vision of that area, and this is impressive. You can see just how much vision they have of FearX's side of the jungle. Making it very, very difficult to make any sort of play. And we're talking about that 5v5 that we could potentially get
just
to.
Not
haven't seen it.
Yeah, GENG just deny it every time. They avoid FearX and...
Oh, okay, there's the flash forward. Canyon maybe caught out of position here. Wind becomes lightning, comes in. Chovy will turn up. Mega Inferno Bomb coming down as well as now Canyon trying to get in position so he can die at the right spot. Chovy's going to go down as well, though. That is 2, but the Requiem coming in. Pays should be taken down as the explosive charge, not actually to come through. Finally, he does fall, and that's the double for Closer. And FearX, they're on the ball. They only had to sacrifice 1. This could be a Baron.
Now, this is massive because this is the type of play that you can't make with this draft for GENG. Everyone's too squishy. The Karthus especially, even if he dies, can get some value done as they're all so low. But with this Ziggs here, I think they definitely have the damage to sustain through. Raptor will tank it up here. Right? Don't stand on that, Henna!
Well, Henna is just going to get out of there. Clear is taking more damage than he'd otherwise like.
It's okay, they did.
Raptor's like, guys, like, I've got this, it's fine. Just leave me alone. And he is going to be able to get that walk away.
Some aspects of that Baron take were more impressive than the last team fight.
Yeah, you can imagine there's Closer in chat. There's Closer in chat. He's like, no, wait for me, wait for me. Raptor's like, I'm going to die, dude. Hilarious. Anyway, they are able to grab themselves the Baron, and this is that 5v5 that we were waiting for, that we were talking about, and it works.
And this is just, again, a little bit of greed here from Canyon, trying to shadow Chovy here, and it is cut straight through the river. And yes, you can have long-range fault with R for Karthus, but you also can with Ziggs. And with the Tristana in a fight like this, the resets are going to be insane, and they just don't have any consistent damage here without Chovy in this fight. And unfortunately, the Requiem damage isn't going to be enough without some sort of lead-in. And even with Karthus in the middle of the team fight with his E turned on, it's just not going to be enough. Yeah. And this is rough.
There's a max range hook that's going to connect here as GENG. They are angry about losing that last fight, but they're going to lose that Twisted Fate immediately. Lahen's taking a lot of damage. He'll flash away, and now Closer turns up. You can see that DPS really starting to get up there, but oh dear. This should just be 2 kills, 1 kill. Never mind, Execute tanky enough to survive the Requiem there.
Doesn't work on the Malignance at least.
Did you see all of the gameplay that FearX were doing? And then GENG, like Canyon's just like, yeah, how about this gameplay? Presses the R button.
Yeah, he definitely let his team carry the kills there on that one, or kill in this case, but still a little bit of a sloppy setup there from GENG, I will say, if we want to really nitpick, because they let themselves get into a position where Execute can get high value on this rel, walking into a choke point. And this is what's so scary about walking into this competition. It has so many circles, as you mentioned. Look at the Ziggs swap here from Henna instantly. The damage is there. Now, the problem is long-term, that Senna we talked about is going to offer some sustain, a lot of damage here from Chovy and Pays, and then they just decide, all right, if we press R, we get Dragon, and FearX don't get to take the fight on the objective. I think GENG could have played that a little bit slower, could have waited, forced FearX to actually move towards the pit itself. Got a little bit antsy, but ultimately they're so far ahead, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And the Baron's still there for FearX. We got out of the replay and then immediately we're into another fight, but they only lose 1, so keeping 4 of these Barons alive, definitely important. Actually, keeping 3 of the Barons alive, as of course Closer didn't manage to get the first one. GENG, I don't think they're going to be too worried, Wolf, like you were saying.
I think GENG are still feeling pretty good about the game state. They have, obviously, the sole point. But this game is much closer, I think, than it looked like it was going to be as Execute finding Lahen's.
Yeah, Magnustorm to come on through here as Closer. Rocket jumps forward just to close the distance, and Lahen's just dead. No follow-up available. And of course, nothing to really get on the map here because, of course, the Baron not available. And Keen is on the bottom side, and he has Destiny up. So he can just put the gold card down and then gate away if he would like to. Doesn't even feel the need, as he just wants to keep getting the pressure down, gets the information, knows that there's no one coming.
I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about Closer, though. You know, I do feel like he's starting to get a little bit larger, and once he gets that third item online here, we saw, and we discussed it earlier, the Hens won't last too long against that Tristana damage, especially with some of that Ziggs burn coming through. So GENG, I think, really need to tighten things up because they still have a lead. They still can try to dictate the pace of this next Dragon fight and try to force a fight on their terms and not allow FearX to use all of those engage tools we're talking so much about. But a few more mistakes and FearX can absolutely win this game.
And the thing is, if FearX win a fight, the game's over.
It's done.
Because Ziggs and Tristana together will just demolish everything in front of them. And so if they do manage to win a team fight, then it's very, very quick for them to just move up and wipe out the Nexus. So GENG going to have to make sure that they do not let that happen. A team wipe would be absolutely devastating, even this early in the game.
And I think the difference in identities in the comps is FearX wants to win a fight instantly, essentially. GENG wants to win the longer fight. And if you keep getting caught, if you're splitting and being a little bit greedy, there are definitely openings for FearX. Even if it's not a wombo combo, just one single target can be enough to turn the tide.
Well, you can see the gold moving back towards FearX just a little bit. It only really crested 4.5k as the largest lead that GENG were able to get to, and that was immediately stifled by that great Baron play that BNK FearX did make. And so GENG grouping up once again. This time the Twisted Fate is with the rest of his team, and yeah, that's a big old flank angle. Keen smells something, has a feeling that there might be something up here, and is going to go searching for the cannon. Clear, not going to give his position away just yet. FearX able to take some control back of the map.
That's some game sense right there from some veterans.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely realizing cannon's not showing on the map, there is a decent chance, even though we have some control vision in the jungle, that he's wrapping around and will not get caught in mid lane, because that could have ended the game right there, essentially giving FearX a massive lead. And Baron spawning in a minute's time, so you do not want to be messing around with a cannon flank. So great reaction there from GENG to back off, realizing the potential of that threat there. Especially with a Xin Zhao could also then split the team in half. So really good game sense, good call there from GENG. Now, this next fight is really awkward for FearX because GENG can choose between Infernal Soul and the Baron, and they can just avoid that 5v5 fight whichever way they like. They could take a 5v5 team fight almost at this point as well, with the Senna really and truly coming online. But as FearX, you have to be decisive. You need to look for a pick. You need to look to force GENG into a fight on your terms before those spawns happen. You've only got 25 seconds to Baron. It looks like the call is around topside here.
He's got 3 items, Wolf.
It's a Void Staff.
Yeah, Void Staff finished. Coming in third. He's probably going to buy himself a cool hat after this. Does need some added funding before he can get to that one, though. That is going to be in a little bit longer time. But BNK FearX, they want GENG to come to them.
And GENG,
by starting a Baron, that's going to do it.
If GENG can just let this go and not force here and say, we'll take Infernal Soul instead, but the timing is a bit awkward. They're going to just let this go for now, pushing mid to try to draw some FearX members back. There's no wave here. Very awkward for GENG. The Baron, it's gone, Atlas.
Yeah, and Destiny's popped. They know exactly what's going on, but there was no way for them to contest.
Requiem just for the poke?
Yeah, yes, I mean, is that poke? You almost killed Closer, okay.
I mean, the timing of this is really thin for GENG. Keen doesn't have
stopping
Destiny.
the back, so just make sure he can break open the base.
Yeah.
They get Infernal Soul, and they expose the bottom lane inhibitor.
Now, the Baron buff is going to be fantastic, obviously, with the Tristana and the Ziggs push we talked about. So this is still a threat here for GENG to deal with, but great call, using the Requiem, stopping the backs, poking them down a little bit so they can't actually try to catch GENG after the Drake is taken, even without the Destiny there from Keen, because he used it moments before. They know there's no way they can actually stop that. So they made their call to go for Baron. GENG react very quickly. Let's see what this Baron can get done, because that is really probably going to be one of the big deciding factors of this game is, can they break an inhibitor? Yeah, and I think they just have to group as 5 and hard push.
I respect the decision from BNK FearX as well, because this is a Hail Mary. This is like, well, we know that we're never going to outscale, so we may as well try and find a pick and just win the game. And with a Baron, Tristana, and Ziggs, you're going to be able to do it. But Raptor, he is a little bit on his lonesome. Does have, of course, the Crescent Guard available, but my God, Infernal Soul, ladies and gentlemen, and a Corki with 3 items.
Just push together, fight on your terms. They left the cannon on the top side, so GENG know where he is. They know there's no flank threat. GENG are like, all right, cool. Well, we just took half of Raptors, or 3/4 of Raptors' health bar. He's not relevant, and that's the end of this Baron. Essentially, any real threat to GENG. And with the Infernal Soul, clearing these waves becomes so much simpler. And yes, you have Closer now pushing bottom side, but I think the decision to try to get value in 2 lanes and now 3 was not going to be enough to break an inhibitor. Now Closer's in danger.
Yeah, Closer actually thinking he wants to try and kill Keen here. He took the blast cone in, but you can see the rest of FearX rotating over. This time, Closer doesn't start the fight too early. And if they do get in here and manage to find something, it is going to be important. Good buffer to get Closer out of there, and Raptor taking so much damage. Oh my god! Even the piercing darkness is so scary as Raptor! Will he survive? He will! Okay, he's fine. He's fine. He had hysterics, so I don't know, Atlas. You need to just look at the items before you get excited.
He does not have Warmogs, though, so I don't know if he's going to live much longer.
Okay, there is a Destiny coming in, as Henna's going to have to flash away, but there is the depth charge. And Keen's on the flank angle. There is absolutely nowhere to run. Raptor tries to flash for him, but the gold card was in the air. And they start off the fight with a kill. The Magnet Storm, it doesn't do anything. The Slicing Maelstrom doesn't either. But he is still able to take down Pace. Clear, just exploding. What was that damage? It was absolutely insane. And now Keen looking for a little bit more. Already the bottom lane is being wiped out, but Chovy comes in for the cleanup. And Closer is still alive, trying to get something done. But you know what? This was not the cleanest, and a 4 for 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad. I think that if the Slicing Maelstrom was a little bit earlier or onto more members, it could have been huge, as Keen is going to get a lot of gold card value in this one.
Oh, man, that's a lot of cinders.
There, yeah.
I love seeing that. We see so many cinders ignored, Wolf.
Yeah. No, Ox is like, ooh! You know, everyone thinks Ox is the big Chemtech guy, but we all know the truth.
Oh, he's just a Cinder Man, and absolutely fantastic.
This Raptor's health being this low, and even with the Steric shield that he's going to get here, doesn't necessarily matter. He gets Senna ulted. That is the crux of this fight, because he dies instantly to Keen's Destiny. The Destiny angle is super intentional here for Keen. Wants to target Raptor down first, has a gold card ready, is able to negate the flash entirely, and now it's already a losing battle here for FearX, despite Clear and Execute's best intentions here. Watch what happens when Chovy shows up.
Yeah.
Infernal Soul, Armor Shred, bye-bye, little Pikachu.
That was just ridiculous amounts of burst damage. At least FearX were able to get a little bit back. I really did like how Henna kind of kited it out, because it looked like GENG had them exactly where they wanted them, but it was Lahen's walking all the way through the Hextech minefield that was a huge problem. Mega Inferno Bomb not going to be avoided there by Paze.
Paze
takes
Senna.
So much damage.
He's Senna, though, and he can just back here. There's no objective up. You know, a bit of a interesting call. Now, I will say, I think in Henna's defense, if you hit more members there and force multiple backs from GENG, you'll get a lot of vision from that. You will get a win from that. Perhaps he thought he had the burst, but with this build, you're not going to kill somebody with that, unfortunately, but even with Horizon Focus. But, you know, it was a nice try.
Yeah.
If there were objectives up, maybe that would have been valuable. He will get his ult up relatively quickly, obviously. He has Ziggs after all. This Elder, you know, and Baron are spawning at the same time, because we kind of had these Dragons and Barons in sync this game, so really interesting to see what choice FearX makes this time around.
And they've had 2 Barons this game
Yeah.
as well. It's actually just kind of nutty. That's what's kept them so close in the gold.
Exactly.
It is under 4K right now, despite the fact that it feels like GENG have had full control. And speaking of which, here is a Destiny in. Slicing Maelstrom is going to stun up Keen for the moment. He does have his Zhonya's at the ready as well, but I don't think he's going anywhere. Yeah, 4 members of GENG probably going to be enough to take down the cannon once again. 2, 6, and 3. Unfortunately, Clear has really been the target.
He really has. Some backs going to get stopped, at least one.
Yeah, they tried to stop them from being able to defend, and honestly, they couldn't defend anyway, because the turret just kind of fell over when it saw GENG. We are quite late into this game, and they do have a lot of damage available. So that is going to be that top inhibitor wiped out.
When you see the call to go, or rather the cannon death here, and GENG's call, of course, to punish him, you'll also notice there's a lot of vision for GENG. They know FearX don't know about this. They know that Clear has pushed that far up, so he probably feels safe. But there's just not a lot of information for FearX to be that far up, and that call from Clear to be that far out means they lose an inhibitor right before this Baron spawns. And with the speed at which they can take this Baron here with this extremely fed Karthus, I mean, it goes quick, and then you go straight to Elder. You got Exodia, and we'll get our fancy little graphic for it, because I mean, there's just no stopping this, and they're going to try to maybe rush this down. I don't think so. You have to win a wombo combo. Vision is cleared. Maybe execute, make a hero play. I don't know, Atlas.
There's no Destiny, there's no Requiem, and there's no Dawning Shadow. GENG are not at full power right now, and this goes down so incredibly fast.
Clear has teleport as well.
Yeah, good satchel to try and get hands out of there, but he still manages to land the hook. It's a steal from Canyon! Really? You do that to them right now? That is so unfair. Now the executes come in from this big old dragon. That is the very cool borders around the pictures for GENG as well. And oh man, it was so close.
I mean, the thing too is the teleport from Clear, if it's faster, maybe he gets a huge slicing maelstrom, but it's too late. He's not there in time. Keen just Destiny's on top of him and kills him as well. There's no hope for B&K and GENG. And so we're going home early tonight.
Yeah, they certainly are the 2-0 for the MSI champions, but in this game, B&K FearX, they made them work for it. I actually think that they played very, very well to their win conditions in this competition. Just didn't quite work, and with the fact that they fell behind early, maybe we could have seen something different if the early game had gone better, but I think it was still a valiant effort. Still, GENG will walk away with a 2-0 in today's match. Big congratulations for them really getting out to the summer season on the right foot.
Really good game from GENG. Both games, there were some mistakes. They weren't perfect games by any means. And I think we did see a big glow up in a lot of ways for B&K here compared to last season and compared to the Nongshim series. They really came in with a clear plan. I kind of raised my eyebrows at the Ziggs pick, but how they were able to lane swap and then get all those plates and punish GENG a little bit on the map and still get the Ziggs some money, I felt like they knew how they wanted to play their composition. And that's not something we can always say about our East Side teams when they play against our top teams. They stumble in draft and then don't really find any sort of angle. I feel like they definitely knew what they wanted to do. GENG was just definitely the better team today. Cannon with a thumbs up, but FearX, I think this is a loss if you are a B&K FearX fan that you're going to be okay with, because they definitely had some shining moments.
Yeah, I think so too. And look, you might look towards the top lane and say that, yes, Clear didn't exactly have the greatest day. He has taken the Keen exam before, and it did work out, I think, once, maybe? Didn't work out today. It was a flunk. Unfortunately, he's going to have to go back and do that one again. Thankfully, he will have that opportunity in round 2, because thankfully, this is a double round robin.
And I think Alice, you know, to your point about Clear, both he and Raptor had some tough games, right? And I think with the oppressive control that GENG had on the map, you can kind of
it's sort of like a trickle down, right?
Yeah, you can kind of give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt for some of those picks, but I think it was a lack of focus for both players when they were behind that really gave GENG a little bit more control. And I think if you just focus up and don't get caught, not in moments like this, because this is just a really nice gank for Canyon, and when the gold card comes out, you panic, you put up the speed boost, and it's completely denied, as you mentioned. That means it's just enough damage here, even without the Requiem. But I think some of the decisions we saw in the late game for Clear, a little bit too slow or a little bit too, I almost want to say lazy in terms of where the map
greedy, maybe. It's more like he was trying to farm side lanes that he couldn't actually, but he did need the money, right? Your cannon, like if your Slicing Maelstrom doesn't do anything, you are absolutely useless. So caught between a rock and a hard place, as we do like
love to say that, yeah. And I think that this week for B&K gave me some hope, because if you guys watched the Pog State episode, I said I was super down on this team. I felt like, you know, Closer was past his prime. I didn't feel like it was going to be a strong meta for his champion pool. But after watching this game in particular, more than the Nongshim game, I do have a little bit more hope for, you know, the cool kids who don't panic.
Yeah, I would agree. I actually think that a lot of our sort of eastern side teams have looked better and better. I think that even DRX fitting into that category a little bit as well. Certainly a lot of things to be interested in for that team also. So a lot to be curious about.
And that's what's so great about summer season, because the rosters have had a whole split together.
Yeah.
They've had the teams that don't go to MSI, the East Side teams, they have some additional time to scrim and actually practice and prepare for the meta, so sometimes they have a good read.
Okay.
As we'll watch these final moments here on the Elder. And the shutdown on the teleport from Cannon as well. So crisp from Keen. And the steal from Canyon.
Yeah, Canyon just coming in. I mean, these Skittles do
Leo,
so
이거
much
캐논
damage as well. Let's see how this one happens. As it's going down incredibly low, he just flashes in and finds it.
Yeah, with a Skittle on top of it to get it to 1200.
The good old Skittle smoke.
Yep, and you see Keen is like, well, you tried to go for the teleport flank. It's way too late, even though they had the ward. He shuts down the cannon. Oh man, he was so close to the 444.
I'm gonna need the boom boom damage vote. I think that is more damage than time in the game. You know, like 44 versus 35. It's just a bit silly.
I think people will be pretty surprised by my POG vote. I'll keep it a surprise.
Ooh.
I'll keep it a surprise. He didn't get 444. I didn't vote for Canyon. Just so you guys know, like 444 is basically the 666 of Asia.
Yeah. That's why you can't go to floor 4 in very many places in China, which is very interesting stuff. But it is now time for us to throw it over to some Ziggs enthusiasts and Huni. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Deer for the POG interview translation, joined by Paze and Keen on the side of GENG, who just took a quick 2-0 victory. Congratulations! Keen, following the Spring and MSI titles, you secured another amazing win for the first match of summer. How do you feel? I'm very, very happy that I'm able to get our first win with a 2-0 victory today. And Paze, you also scored pentakill number 1 of summer. Congratulations. How do you feel? Yeah, I know that I've had some pentakills under my belt, and I'm really happy that I was able to grab another pentakill with Zeri. And Pace, with today's match, you have surpassed 860 all-time LCK kills. Is it safe to say that Pace has the greatest kill-catching senses of all time? Yeah, I think I'm pretty good at getting kills. But I don't know about being the greatest. And Keen, what are your thoughts on Pace's kill-catching abilities? Yeah, when you get to play with Pace, he's definitely greedy for CSing and KS, well, really just getting kills. So we try to compete and contest for these kills. And yeah, honestly, I was trying to contest for it this time around too, but I saw him get double and triple kills, so I just had to give it to him. Yeah, so I know, I really wanted the pentakill, so I asked for it. And with the crit item buffs, there has been a shift in the bot meta, so compared to MSI, can you feel the difference? Yeah, crit items have gotten a lot of buffs, but I think the laning phase is what I prioritize a lot more. So I think that's why I try to go for builds that actually do focus on allowing me to do a better job in the laning phase. And now we have to replay the pentakill moment. How did you see this pentakill angle? Yeah, this angle, just the picture was so beautiful for me. I think the way that my teammates funneled the resources to me actually paid off a lot more. So did you yell for the pentakill when you got triple kill? Yeah, I think I was shouting for it the moment I sent out the Zeri Q. And let's take a look at some of the milestones. It looks like the all-time LCK pentakill standings. It shows that you are in the second place with 5 pentakills. And you now have your personal career, some accomplishments right now. It looks like 5 times in the LCK, 2 times in LCK CL, and 1 time in the MSI. So apparently the champion with the most pentakills in the LCK is Zeri. So what do you think enables her to get so many pentakills? I think just because of her skills allowing her to hit multiple enemies at once, and I think her base attack is just so high that it just makes it so much easier to get pentakills with her. In game 2, with TF and Karthus locked in, you guys had early control of side lanes and you scaled really well. So how did you come up with this comp? This isn't something that we came up with prior to today, but I think we just communicated about what kind of comps or what kind of picks are good for us to play with the given draft. So is there anything you remember from calming with Canyon? Nothing memorable, but in game, we just noticed how often the Senna and Karthus ult was getting shot top, so I just felt like it was such a blessing. In game 2, BNK's aggression really stood out, so did they give you a trouble in any way? I feel like they were attempting to do something and trying to... They were just trying to, I noticed, make some moves so that they can actually make a difference. But I do see that they are trying really hard to make a difference and turn the game around. And FaZe.
개막전을 치렀고 또 이제 LCK 프로비랑 결승전 가려면 아직 시간이 많이 남았기 때문에 그때까지 메타 파악 잘하고.
This concludes our opening week match. I believe that as long as we're able to keep it up like how we did in the MSI, we would be able to win the summer title as well. And Keen, just like FaZe said, as long as we're able to get a good read on the meta and continue practicing really hard, we have a very good chance for the summer title. Congratulations again, and that's the end of the interview from FaZe and Keen of GENG, and back to the space. Thank you.